Most people tend to categorize souls as either new or old, light or dark, and advanced or naive. However, this categorization is quite simplistic. In reality, the variations among souls extend beyond mere life experiences or spiritual interests. They hinge on the very fabric of the soul itself. There are also two other classifications known as young souls and mature souls. The label young soul is often misinterpreted. It does not imply that a person is childish, ignorant, or inexperienced in a human context. Instead, a young soul is at the beginning of its spiritual journey, having existed on Earth only a limited number of times and remaining heavily focused on physical identity and the drama of separation. This isn't a criticism. Every soul starts from this point. It represents the essential childhood stage of eternal awareness. Yet, young souls often defy expectations. They may not display obvious immaturity. In fact, many possess a charismatic presence, intelligence, and outward success, and may even exhibit spiritual tendencies. However, beneath this exterior lies a sacred yearning and a rawness in their energy that reveals their true nature. Conversely, mature souls do not feel the need to prove themselves. They seek neither validation, status, nor spiritual accomplishment. In fact, many mature souls remain unnoticed in society, often perceived as peculiar, withdrawn, or even flawed individuals. They tend to live unobtrusively, having moved past the drive to accumulate and instead focusing on transformation. Mature souls carry a weight that isn't easily explained by age or intellect. This weight is not a sign of sadness. It's the heft of having seen through illusions and still choosing to serve. Many indicators of soul maturity are paradoxical and may seem contradictory. The first notable distinction lies in the density and coherence of a soul's energy field, often referred to as the aura. Young souls typically possess what mystics call a diffuse aura. Their energy is scattered, thin, and reactive. This doesn't signify weakness. In fact, young souls often exhibit intense bursts of enthusiasm and ambition. However, their energy lacks focus, resembling fireworks, vibrant and loud, yet ephemeral and unfocused. In contrast, a mature soul possesses what esoteric traditions refer to as fractal integrity. Their energy is cohesive, akin to a mandala, intricate yet balanced, quiet yet powerful. This energy is palpable in the presence of someone who seems to stretch time, effortlessly imparting tranquility, or who might leave you unsettled without saying a word. This isn't charisma, it reflects energetic maturity. Another often misunderstood sign involves how a soul interacts with silence, light, and subtle vibrations. Young souls may feel overwhelmed or restless in silence, as it tends to bring to the surface inner turmoil they haven't learned to confront yet. They often fill silence with noise, movement, and conversation, not out of shallowness, but rather to avoid facing themselves. In spiritual traditions, silence is not empty. It represents a nurturing environment, and only a mature soul can inhabit it without flinching. Similarly, the subtle light experienced during meditation, prayer, or awe tends to unsettle young souls. They seek bright stimulation and ecstatic experiences. Conversely, mature souls surrender to gentle light like a lover returning home. Time represents another area where young and mature souls diverge in mysterious ways. A young soul is often trapped in a linear perception of time, believing in progress, schedules, deadlines, and consequences. This timeline is rigid, moving straight ahead. Meanwhile, mature souls often experience what mystics describe as dimensional gliding, an awareness that time is not linear but rather simultaneous. They encounter memories of experiences they haven't lived, possess knowledge of future events, and experience life in loops rather than straight lines. This perception can be disorienting and isolating, but it reveals a soul that has detached from the illusion of linear progression, entering a deeper level of insight. One of the more subtle yet significant signs is something mystics call the friction signature. Each soul generates friction, an energetic tension when engaging with the material world. Young souls produce high levels of friction when facing obstacles. They may respond with anger, frustration, competitiveness, or reactivity, struggling against difficulties or trying to force their way through. In contrast, mature souls have transformed friction into presence. Their energy absorbs resistance just as dark cloth absorbs light. When encountering an obstacle, a mature soul does not automatically resist or retaliate. Instead, they center themselves, becoming a mirror, a space of presence that allows tension to resolve peacefully. This is not passivity, it is an alchemical stillness. Now let's delve into 7 uncommon and often overlooked indicators of young souls. The first sign is a reliance on novelty without depth. A young soul craves new experiences, viewing them not as avenues for growth but as energetic stimulants to evade the stillness that might unearth something deeper. They pursue careers, hobbies, relationships, and belief systems not in pursuit of expansion, but as a means of escape. They might quickly master superficial knowledge only to abandon it when it no longer excites them. They are not seekers. They are merely collectors of stimulation, which stems from a form of spiritual innocence. The young soul has yet to learn that the most profound truths reside on the other side of repetition, devotion, and silence. Another sign is an unconscious aversion to ambiguity or mystery. Young souls often find themselves uncomfortable with mystery. They may claim to be open-minded or curious, yet they feel frightened by the unknown. This apprehension doesn't always manifest as anxiety. Sometimes it surfaces as a need for certainty, strong opinions, or a swift resolution of confusion. They seek answers not from wisdom, but from a fear of facing the vast unknown. A mature soul, however, can exist in paradox, while a young soul attempts to eliminate it through clarity. Spiritual voyeurism without integration is another troubling sign. A young soul may seem spiritual, reading sacred texts, exploring esoteric concepts, experimenting with plant medicines, or experiencing mystical visions. However, instead of integrating these encounters into their being, they treat them as adornments, markers of identity, or tools for social or spiritual superiority. They observe the sacred without allowing it to transform them. They wish to taste the divine but not become consumed by it. True integration necessitates a surrendering of the old self. A young soul is not yet ready for such a death. A preoccupation with personal legacy, fame, or impact is another subtle warning sign. While the desire to leave a mark is natural for young souls, this longing often stems from fear, specifically the fear of being forgotten, unnoticed, or irrelevant. Their actions, even those framed as altruistic, may be subtly motivated by the need for recognition. They equate visibility with worth. Their spiritual service can be performative, even if they are unaware of this. This drive is not malevolent. It is simply an ego's plea for immortality before the soul realizes it is eternal. Rapid emotional reactions to the unseen also mark young souls. As they begin to encounter energies, spirits, or subtle influences, their reactions can be intense, sometimes through fascination, sometimes through fear, often leading to an inflated ego. They may think that a psychic experience or a synchronistic event makes them special or chosen, which instead of grounding them, inflates their sense of self-importance. This isn't arrogance per se, it reflects an ungroundedness. The young soul hasn't yet built the energetic structure to hold these currents without distortion. Spiritual mimicry, adopting outward aesthetics without energetic alignment, is a pervasive sign in today's world. Young souls are particularly impressionable and often imitate the behavior, attire, speech, or rituals of those they admire upon awakening. They adopt the external appearance of enlightenment, but fail to embody the corresponding inner frequency. They might dress like monks, speak like sages, or repeat esoteric quotes, but without the surrender, pain, and silence that foster true alignment. A young soul may wear the crown, but the weight will eventually expose their lack of authenticity. Now, let's examine 7 rare and often unsettling signs of a mature soul. The first sign is sacred boredom, a profound disinterest in the world's distractions. A mature soul often feels a unique kind of boredom. This doesn't arise from a lack of meaning in life, but rather because the ordinary thrills of the world no longer excite them. Fame, wealth, conquest, drama, and even most entertainment forms feel empty. They are not depressed, they simply don't engage with illusions that continue to captivate others. This sacred boredom indicates a soul liberated from distraction, seeking depth and stillness for nourishment rather than escape. Another significant sign is experiencing emotionally silent storms, deep feelings that arise without external stimuli. A mature soul can feel intensely, but not in typical or easily categorized ways. Their emotions may emerge from unknown depths, only to dissolve into calmness. They might suddenly feel waves of grief on a peaceful day, or experience ecstasy without clear cause. They are not emotionally unstable. Their depth is linked to the collective, the ancestral, and the spiritual realms. These silent storms can perplex others and sometimes even the mature soul. However, this emotional depth is archetypal, as mature souls often feel what others suppress, serving as vessels for the world's grief, healing, and remembrance. This is not a burden, it is their quiet vow. Strange synchronicities that provoke rather than comfort represent another troubling sign for mature souls. While young souls tend to view synchronicities as affirmations of being on the right path, mature souls encounter disruptive synchronicities that are challenging. Their synchronicities can be unsettling, mysterious, or even frightening. They might dream of someone before that person dies, notice recurring numbers whenever they feel doubt, or hear words they feared they would never hear. These occurrences are not mere coincidences. They represent sacred interruptions meant to stretch the soul rather than soothe the ego. A mature soul recognizes this reality, reframing their questions from, "What does this mean for me?" to, "What am I being asked to release?" The deep desire for energetic integrity marks another indicator. Mature souls are willing to forfeit relationships, jobs, status, and comfort to remain true to their inner frequency. They can't tolerate falsehood, particularly the dishonesty within themselves. This longing for integrity is not a moral stance. It's a matter of vibration. The mature soul has refined its inner tuning, becoming physically and spiritually unwell in the presence of dissonance. Whereas young souls seek love and acceptance, mature souls prioritize truth, even at great personal cost. They aren't cruel or confrontational, but they will quietly withdraw from situations that demand a betrayal of their core energy. Disidentification from human archetypes is a pronounced sign of mature souls. They no longer cling to identities assigned by society: parent, lover, victim, warrior, teacher, rebel. While these roles may still manifest in their lives, they no longer define their essence. The mature soul recognizes a deeper truth beyond identity, understanding themselves as a witness, a vessel, a presence flowing through forms. This disconnection can make them seem distant or uninterested in typical social interactions. They may love deeply without possessiveness, work passionately without ambitions, and create beauty without seeking recognition. The mature soul embodies their essence without attempting to be anything other than what's naturally present. Finally, comfort in holy disobedience emerges as a crucial sign in mature souls. They often reach a juncture where they are willing to defy spiritual laws to uphold divine alignment. While this might sound sacrilegious, it's a significant phase in their evolution. They comprehend that even sacred rules can be constrained by language and context. When faced with a choice between dogma and truth, they invariably choose truth, even if it makes them appear irreverent or rebellious. They will break silence to defend the voiceless, exit corrupt spiritual communities, and question what others hold sacred, not out of ego but as loyalty to a higher calling. This is not rebellion for its own sake, but a profound act of holy disobedience, the refusal to venerate what has lost its spirit. Choosing presence over self-preservation signifies the ultimate and often the most painful and sacred transitional moment for a mature soul. They are frequently confronted with situations where maintaining their identity, safety, or comfort could mean forsaking the present. In those moments, they choose presence regardless of the potential cost. They may speak the truth even if it threatens their reputation, surrender control amidst chaos, or forgive when every instinct screams to retaliate. Such choices are not rational. They are often met with punishment from the world. However, the mature soul has crossed a threshold where self-preservation ceases to be the priority. Only presence remains. They have experienced death before and are unafraid to do so again.